So here's the situation. My sister sold her house to chase some dream vacation, and now my parents are pushing for her whole family to move into my place. Meanwhile, I've got this house, right? I've been living here for about 10 years now, slowly paying it off piece by piece, and I finally reached that point where I can honestly say, it's mine. It's not anything flashy or over the top, just a simple 3-bedroom home. But man, it's mine, and that means everything to me. You know that feeling when you've worked your tail off for something for years, and one day you can finally sit back and think, yeah, I actually did it? That's exactly where I'm at right now. I don't have fancy decorations or some huge backyard or anything like that, but it's still a solid place. It's comfortable, it's quiet, and most importantly, it's my own space where I can relax without any stress or chaos. Now, my sister Vanessa, she's 32, and she's married to this guy Derek, who's 34. They're what you'd call free spirits. You know the type, always talking about how everyone else is stuck wasting their lives working boring 8 to 4 jobs, while they're out there supposedly living their best life. They've pretty much been like that ever since they got together, always dreaming up some big, dramatic escape from the rat race. Honestly, I never thought they'd actually follow through with any of it. I mean, sure, everyone talks about quitting their job and traveling the world at some point, right? It's kind of like a phase most people grow out of once reality hits, and you realize bills aren't going anywhere. But not Vanessa and Derek. Nope, they're the kind of people who actually went all in on that idea. They ended up selling their house, their actual home, where their 2 kids, Chloe and Nathan, have lived their entire lives, and decided they were going to spend a full year traveling the world. Yeah, seriously. They sold everything for what was basically a dream vacation, convinced the housing market was hot, and that they'd made a great profit off the sale. Their plan was to live off that money, pick up odd jobs here and there, and stretch it out for a whole year while hopping from place to place. So I'm watching all of this unfold from my little house, thinking, all right, good for them, I guess. But also, this is probably not going to end well. I mean, they've got 2 kids to take care of. Chloe's 7, Nathan is 5. Traveling with kids isn't the same as just throwing a backpack on and wandering around Europe on a whim. That kind of thing takes planning. A lot of planning. But they brushed all of that off like it was no big deal, saying they'd just figure everything out as they went along. And I'm just sitting there thinking, okay, it's your life. So fast forward a couple of months. I'm at home, just relaxing, probably watching TV or something, when I get a call from Vanessa. I hadn't really heard much from her since they left. Just the occasional Instagram post about how amazing their life was, plus some random pictures of them trying weird food in different countries. So naturally, I assume this call is going to be more of the same, her calling to brag about how great everything is going. But the second I answer, I can tell something's off. Vanessa sounds stressed. Like, really stressed. And then she starts explaining how things didn't exactly go the way they planned. Apparently, they burned through their money way faster than expected. I'm talking within about 2 months, they were basically broke. Turns out, traveling the world isn't exactly cheap. Who would have guessed, right? They were staying in nice places, eating out all the time, and living like the money would never run out. But when you're not bringing any income in and still spending like that, the money disappears fast, especially when you've got 2 kids with you. Hostels and cheap Airbnbs might sound fun in theory, but that changes real quick when you've got 2 exhausted, hungry kids who need a stable place to sleep every night. So now they're stuck. They can't keep traveling because they've run out of money, but they also don't want to settle down and buy another house just yet. And then comes the question. They ask me if they can move in with me. Yep. Vanessa, Derek, and their 2 kids, all of them, into my 3-bedroom house for about 10 months. And here's the best part. They want to stay rent-free. They didn't even offer to chip in or help with expenses. It was just a straight up, hey, can we live with you for almost a year while we figure things out? I'll be honest, I didn't even know what to say at first. I mean, she's my sister, and yeah, I care about her, but this is my house. My space. I didn't spend 10 years working my ass off just to suddenly have 4 extra people move in and take over. Plus, I've got my routine, you know? I like my peace and quiet. I can't even imagine what my place would turn into with 2 little kids running around all the time, not to mention the mess that would come with it. So I told her straight up, look, Vanessa, I love you guys, but this isn't going to work. The house is too small, and I don't want that kind of disruption in my life. I even offered to help them in other ways. I said I could help them find a more affordable rental nearby, or even pitch in some money for a couple of months to help them get back on their feet. But that wasn't good enough. Vanessa got mad. Like, instantly. She started calling me selfish, saying I didn't care about family, and even accused me of being jealous of their adventurous lifestyle. Jealous? Seriously? At that point, I started getting irritated too. This wasn't about jealousy or not caring about family. It was about boundaries. I don't owe them a place to live just because they made a bunch of bad decisions without thinking things through. I get that life doesn't always go according to plan, but they chose to sell their house without any real backup plan. And now they expect me to deal with the consequences of that. And then it gets even better. After blowing up at me, Vanessa decides to get our parents involved. Now, my parents live in a small apartment, so taking in Vanessa's family isn't even an option for them. But instead of seeing my side of things, they start pressuring me to let Vanessa and her family move in. My mom goes on about how family is supposed to help family, and that I should be more understanding of Vanessa and Derek's situation. She even tells me I don't understand the value of experiences and that I should be more supportive. Supportive? I already offered support. I offered to help them find a place. I offered to help cover expenses for a couple of months. But apparently, that's not enough. They want everything: free rent, my house, and my personal space, for almost an entire year. And the worst part? They're not even planning to settle down. They're still talking about taking occasional trips if they find cheap deals. So basically, they want to live in my house for free while still playing the role of carefree travelers whenever they feel like it. How does that even make sense? So now I'm sitting here trying to figure out how to deal with all of this. Vanessa's not speaking to me, my parents are upset with me, and even some of our mutual friends think I'm being too harsh. But honestly, I don't think I'm wrong here. It's not like I refuse to help at all. I just don't want them living in my house rent-free for 10 months. After that first awkward phone call with Vanessa, I had a feeling things might get a little weird, but I wasn't prepared for just how messy it was about to get. I figured maybe I could just stand my ground, tell her no, and that would be the end of it. You know, set a clear boundary and move on. But yeah, that's not what happened. About a week later, Vanessa and Derek just showed up at my house, in person. No warning, no heads up, nothing, which already didn't sit right with me. So there I am, just going about my usual Saturday morning, enjoying the peace and quiet, when suddenly the doorbell rings. I open the door, and there's Vanessa, standing there, with Derek and the kids right behind her. They're standing there with these big, hopeful expressions, like I'm about to swoop in and fix everything for them. Meanwhile, in my head, I'm just thinking, oh man, here we go. I mean, I already knew what they were going to ask. What I didn't expect was this, showing up at my door like the decision was already made and I'd just go along with it. Vanessa starts things off with some small talk, asking how I've been, how work's going, all that surface level stuff. But the whole time, I can feel the tension hanging in the air. It's obvious they're not here just to catch up. It's that classic situation where someone's trying to butter you up before dropping something big on you. And I'm just standing there, staying polite, while mentally preparing for what's coming next. Finally, after what feels like forever, Derek clears his throat and steps in. He goes, "So, Marcus, we've been thinking about what you said on the phone." But before he can even finish, Vanessa jumps right back in. Because, let's be honest, she's the one calling the shots in that relationship. She starts saying, "We know you said you didn't think us staying here would work, but we really believe we can make it work. It's only 10 months. We won't cause any problems." Then she adds that the kids are well behaved, that they'll stay out of my way, and that they'll keep everything clean. I just stand there for a second, honestly not even sure how to respond. Because let's be real, there's no universe where 2 little kids are going to just quietly stay out of my way in a house this size. And the idea that 4 extra people could move in and somehow not disrupt my life at all. Yeah, that's not happening. Still, I try to keep things calm. I don't want to snap right away, so instead I ask them, "Okay, but what's the actual plan here? What happens after the 10 months? Are you buying another house? Getting jobs? What's the end game?" Vanessa and Derek look at each other like they hadn't really thought that far ahead. Then Vanessa shrugs a little and says, "We're still figuring that part out. If things work out, we might go back to traveling. We've been looking at cheap flights, and there's a chance we could get back on the road by the end of the year." She says they just need a place to regroup for now, somewhere to stay while they figure out their next move. I honestly couldn't believe what I was hearing. So not only do they want to stay at my place for 10 months, but they're still talking about taking more trips? Like seriously? You're broke. You've got 2 kids. And your plan is to keep chasing this lifestyle where you just drift from place to place? I didn't even know where to begin with that. So I take a breath and try to stay as polite as possible. I tell them, "Look, I get that you're in a tough situation right now. I really do. But I'm not comfortable with this. It's not about not wanting to help. It's just that my house isn't set up for something like this." I explain that I have my own routine, my own way of living, and honestly, having 4 more people here for 10 months just wouldn't work, for me or for them. I point out that the house is small, and there just isn't enough space for all of us. That's when Vanessa's whole expression changes. She goes from hopeful to angry in about 2 seconds flat. "Are you serious?" she says, crossing her arms. "We're family, Marcus. Family is supposed to help each other. You've got all this space, and it's just you living here. What's the problem? At that point, I can feel myself getting frustrated. I understand they're stressed, but this is starting to feel like they think they're entitled to my house just because we're related. I try to keep my voice steady and explain, it's not just about the space, Vanessa. It's about my life too. I've worked really hard for this house, and I need my peace and quiet. I tell her again that I'm willing to help in other ways, but having them live here for almost a year just isn't something I can agree to. That's when Derek finally steps in again, probably realizing things are starting to spiral. He tries to play peacemaker, saying maybe there's a compromise. He suggests they could help around the house, do chores, cook meals, whatever I need, and that they'd be out most of the day so I wouldn't even notice them. But here's the thing. Of course I'd notice. For extra people living under my roof? Yeah, that's impossible to ignore. And the whole, we'll be out during the day, thing doesn't even make sense. They've got 2 small kids. Where exactly are they planning to go all day? They don't have money. It's not like they can afford daily outings or activities. So I just shake my head and say, I appreciate the offer, but no, I can't do it. I'm sorry. And that's when Vanessa completely loses it. She starts going off about how I've always been cheap, how I don't understand what it means to really live life. She says I've never taken risks, that I'm just some boring guy living a boring life. And then she throws it in, that I'm probably jealous of them. Yeah, she actually said that. At that point, I'm definitely angry, but I keep it under control. I just tell her, this isn't about jealousy. It's about boundaries. You guys made the decision to sell your house and live like this. That was your choice. But now you're asking me to deal with the consequences, and that's not fair. She fires right back. We wouldn't be asking if we had another option. Do you think we want to be here begging for help? No. But this is what family does. Marcus, they help each other when things fall apart. I thought you'd understand that. By now, Derek looks completely uncomfortable. He's barely saying anything anymore. Just staring at the floor while Vanessa keeps going, calling me selfish, heartless, all of it. She starts talking about how their travels have inspired them, how they don't want to settle for a typical suburban life. And all I can think is, yeah, but all of that still costs money, doesn't it? Finally, I just put an end to it. I say, look, I'm sorry, but my answer is still no. I can't have you living here. It's just not going to work. After that, they storm out. Vanessa mutters something under her breath about how they'll figure things out without me. And honestly, I feel relieved. I didn't want to keep arguing, but I also had a feeling this wasn't over. And yeah, I was right, because after they left, things escalated way more than I expected. Update 1. After Vanessa and Derek stormed out, I really thought that was the end of it. I figured maybe they'd cool down, take a step back, and eventually realize they were the ones who put themselves in this situation. But I couldn't have been more wrong. Just a couple of days later, everything started blowing up. I'm at home, going about my normal routine, when my phone rings, and it's my mom. Now usually when my mom calls, it's nothing serious. She just checks in, asks how I'm doing, maybe reminds me to eat healthier or something. But this time, I could tell right away it was different. She starts off with, Marcus, we need to talk about Vanessa. And right then, I know this isn't going to be a quick or easy conversation. Apparently, after leaving my house, Vanessa went straight to our parents and told them her version of the story. She laid it on thick, talking about how I refused to help them when they were struggling, making it sound like I just shut the door on them without a second thought. And of course, she told it in a way that made me look like the bad guy. My mom's tone is full of disappointment, like I did something seriously wrong. And she goes, I just don't understand why you wouldn't help your sister, Marcus. They're struggling right now, and family is supposed to be there for each other. I'm trying to stay calm while she's saying all this, but inside, I'm already getting irritated. So I walk her through what actually happened. I explain how I offered to help them find a rental, even told them I could pitch in some money to help them get back on their feet. But that wasn't what they wanted. They wanted to move into my house for 10 months, completely rent-free. I also tell her straight up that their whole plan was reckless, that they burned through their money without really thinking anything through. And now they expect me to step in and fix it. But of course, my mom doesn't see it that way. They made a mistake, Marcus, she says. But they're still family. You've got the space. It's not forever, just long enough for them to get back on track. Here's the thing about my mom, though. She has this way of making you feel guilty without even trying. She's not harsh or mean about it. It's more subtle than that. But she drops these little comments that make you feel like you're somehow failing as a son or a brother. And honestly, it's exhausting. But this time, I wasn't going to cave. So I told her directly, Mom, I'm not doing it. I love Vanessa, but she and Derek need to take responsibility for their choices. I'm not going to let them move in just because they didn't plan ahead. She clearly didn't like that answer, but she backed off, for the moment. I thought that was the end of it. But yeah, not even close. Because the very next day my dad calls. Now my dad's a completely different story. He doesn't do the quiet guilt trip thing. He's more of a tough love kind of guy, which basically means when he's upset, you're going to hear about it loud and clear. He gets straight to the point. Marcus, he says, I hear you've been giving your sister a hard time. I try to explain my side again, but he cuts me off almost immediately. He starts going on about how I'm being selfish, how I've always had it easy, which, honestly, is ridiculous. Yeah, because working my ass off for 10 years to pay off a house is easy, right? Then he goes on this whole rant about how Vanessa is the one who takes risks, who really lives life, while I just sit here playing it safe. Basically calling me boring, saying I don't do anything exciting. At that point, it feels like he's painting me as some kind of coward just because I won't let them move in. Like I'm the problem here. That I just don't understand what it means to really live. And now I'm getting heated. So I tell him, Dad, this isn't about being adventurous. This is about them making a bad decision and expecting me to clean up the mess. I remind him that I worked hard for this house, and I'm not about to let someone come in and take advantage of that. But he's not listening. He just keeps pushing the same idea, that I'm the one in a position to help, and by not doing it, I'm failing as a brother. It's like he took everything Vanessa told him and ran with it, turning me into the villain of the story. And honestly, that stings, because I've always been the responsible one in the family, the one who worked hard, kept things steady, and handled my business. And now suddenly, none of that seems to matter. After that call, I'm fuming. It feels like I'm getting hit from every direction. My parents are both upset with me, and Vanessa's probably out there telling everyone I'm some heartless jerk. And yeah, turns out that's exactly what's happening. A few hours later, I get a message from one of our mutual friends. Let's call him Ethan. Ethan's a good guy, but he's also close with Vanessa, so obviously he's heard her version of things. He texts me, Hey man, what's going on between you and Vanessa? She says you won't let her family stay with you even though they're struggling. So I explain everything to him. I tell him it's not that simple, that what they're asking for is way too much, and that I already offered other ways to help. And to his credit, Ethan actually listens. But then he hits me with, yeah, but it's just for a little while, right? You could tough it out for 10 months. It's family, man. And at that point, I'm just done. It feels like everyone has completely forgotten that I have the right to say no. Like my house isn't even mine anymore. Like it's just some shared resource everyone thinks they're entitled to. I'm frustrated because no matter how I explain it, nobody seems to get it. They all act like it's no big deal for me to let an entire family move in and completely flip my life upside down for almost a year. And then comes the final hit. Vanessa texts me. It's not even a long message, but it lands hard. I can't believe you've turned your back on us. We really needed you. I just sit there, staring at my phone. And honestly, I feel torn. Part of me feels guilty. Like maybe I should have just said yes to avoid all this drama. But at the same time, another part of me is still standing firm. Because deep down, I know I'm not wrong. It's not my fault they made bad decisions. And it's not fair for them to dump all of that on me just because I happen to have a house. Still, that guilt starts creeping in. And I catch myself wondering if I could have handled things differently. Maybe I could have been softer. Maybe I could have been more understanding in how I said no. But then again, if I had given in, all that would have done is teach them that they can keep making reckless choices and rely on someone else to bail them out every time. So yeah, that's where I'm at now. My parents are upset with me. Vanessa's angry. Even some of my friends are questioning me. And me? I'm just holding on to the fact that I set a boundary for myself, even if it feels like everyone around me thinks I'm wrong for doing it. But this whole thing, it's far from over. Because as much as I'd like to just walk away from all the drama, Vanessa's not done yet. Update 2. At this point, after all the calls and messages, I start thinking maybe things will calm down if I just give it some time. Maybe everyone will cool off, realize I'm not the bad guy here, and we can all move on. But yeah, that didn't happen. If anything, things got worse. A lot worse. It starts with my mom again. She keeps trying to play mediator, calling me every couple of days. Every time it's the same thing. Marcus, you have to help your sister. You don't know what it's like to be in her position. She's struggling. She has kids. Over and over again. And every single time, I have to repeat myself. It's not that I don't want to help. It's about how much they're asking for. It's not like they're out on the street with nowhere to go. I already offered other ways to help. But nothing I say seems to get through. Then one evening, I hear a knock at my door. No message. No warning. I open it. And it's Vanessa and Derek again. Just standing there like everything's normal. But this time, they look different. Tired. Worn down. Desperate. The kids are clinging to Vanessa's legs. And the second I see them, I know this conversation is about to get really uncomfortable. Vanessa's holding a stack of papers in her hand. And the second I see them, I get that sinking feeling in my stomach. Like I'm about to get pulled into something way bigger than I signed up for. She doesn't waste a second. Marcus, we need you to reconsider. This is serious. We've checked everywhere, and there's nothing we can afford. She starts explaining how every rental is too expensive, how they don't even have enough money left for a deposit. Then she waves the papers in front of me. They're printouts of apartment listings, most of them crossed out in red ink. I glance at them briefly, but honestly, my mind is already focused on how I'm going to respond. I'm not in the mood for another argument, but it's obvious they didn't come here to take no for an answer. Before I can even speak, Derek steps in. And this time, he's not calm or quiet like before. He's clearly frustrated, borderline angry. We've tried everything, Marcus. We're out of options, he says. You've got this whole house to yourself, and you're just sitting on it while we're struggling. You really can't let us stay for a little while? At that point, I feel my irritation building. We've already had this conversation multiple times, and every single time I say no, they just keep pushing harder. So I tell them, I've already explained this. I'm not comfortable having 4 extra people living in my house for almost a year. I remind them that I offered to help them find something else, and even offered money. But you're not listening, I add. I can't let you move in. That's final. But Vanessa isn't backing off this time. She steps closer, and now her voice starts to shake, like she's about to cry. Marcus, we don't have anywhere else to go. The kids are exhausted. We're exhausted. She pauses, then continues, softer now. We're not asking for much. Just somewhere to stay for a little while. We'll pay you back when we get back on our feet. Please, you're our last option. I glance over at Chloe and Nathan. They're just standing there, confused, not really understanding what's happening. And yeah, that hits me. It makes me feel like absolute crap, because none of this is their fault. But at the same time, I can't let that guilt push me into making a decision I know I'll regret. If I give in now, this situation is going to completely take over my life. So I take a deep breath and say it again. I'm sorry, but I can't. I know this is hard, but this isn't the solution. You need to find another way. And that's when Vanessa completely snaps. In an instant, she goes from emotional to furious. You're unbelievable, she yells, her voice echoing through the hallway. You're sitting here living comfortably while your own family is struggling. I can't believe how heartless you've become. Then she hits me with it. You've changed, Marcus. You're not the brother I grew up with. That one lands hard. It feels like a punch to the gut. But at that point, I'm too frustrated to let it sink in. So I fire back. I haven't changed. You're the one acting entitled, showing up here expecting me to fix everything because you didn't plan ahead. I tell her straight up, I didn't create this situation. You did. And now you want me to clean it up for you. That's not how this works. After that, everything just spirals. Derek jumps in, saying I've always been the selfish one, that I've never been there for them when it actually mattered. He starts bringing up old stuff from years ago, random things that don't even matter anymore. Like how I didn't lend him money for some business idea he had way back. It's like they've been holding on to all this resentment, just waiting for the right moment to throw it all back at me. At that point, we're all talking over each other. Voices raised, tension through the roof. The kids start crying. The whole thing turns into a complete mess. And there I am, standing in my own doorway, being painted as the worst brother in the world. And honestly, all I can think is, how did it even get to this point? Finally, I just shut it down. Enough, I say. This is my house, and I've made my decision. I'm not changing my mind. Then I add, I think it's time for you to leave. Vanessa just stares at me like she can't believe what I just said. She opens her mouth like she's about to respond, but then she stops, shakes her head, grabs the kids, and storms off. Derek follows behind her, shooting me this look like I'm the villain in all of this. As they walk away, I'm left standing there, feeling this weird mix of emotions. Anger, guilt, relief. I know I stood my ground, and I believe it was the right call, but it still feels awful that things had to go this far. I watch them get into their car and drive off. And for a minute, I just stand there, staring, wondering what's going to happen next. Because deep down, I already know this isn't over. And yeah, I was right. Because later that same night, my phone starts blowing up. Messages, calls, nonstop. Turns out Vanessa went into full damage control mode and told everyone what happened. Except, not the real version. She spun it like I threw them out onto the street. Like they have nowhere to go, and I'm just sitting here not caring. My aunt, my cousins, everyone starts messaging me. How could you do this to Vanessa and the kids? You've got a house. They just need a place to stay. It's like they all bought into this version of the story where I'm the villain hoarding my home while my sister struggles. And no matter how many times I try to explain what actually happened, no one's really listening. They all just repeat the same line. Family helps family. By the end of the night, I'm completely drained. I've spent hours trying to defend myself, but it feels like it doesn't even matter. Vanessa managed to turn everyone against me. And now I'm the bad guy in all of this. But here's the thing. I'm still not backing down. I'm not going to let guilt push me into making a decision that'll wreck my life. I know I made the right call, even if no one else sees it that way. Now I just have to figure out how to deal with everything that comes after. Update 3. After all that chaos, the calls, the messages, the family piling on, I was ready to just unplug for a while. Turn off my phone, lock the doors, and wait for everything to blow over. But of course, it didn't work like that. If anything, things were just getting started. A couple of days pass, and I don't hear directly from Vanessa or Derek. And yeah, you'd think that would feel like a relief. But honestly, it didn't. It felt like something was building. Like the calm before everything explodes again. I had this gut feeling they weren't done with me yet. And sure enough, one morning I wake up, check my phone, and I see it. Vanessa made a huge post on Facebook. And of course, it's public. So now everyone, and I mean everyone, can see it. She's going off in that post about how certain people in the family, clearly talking about me, have abandoned her when she needed help the most. She's painting this picture where she and the kids are basically on the edge of being homeless, and all they asked for was a little support from someone who's in a position of privilege. The whole post is packed with dramatic language. She's talking about selfish family members, about how some people don't understand what it means to be there for each other when life gets hard. And yeah, the comment section? Total chaos. People are jumping in left and right, saying how cruel it is to turn your back on family, how they can't believe someone would treat their own sister like that. I'm reading all of it, and I can literally feel my blood pressure rising. Because these people don't know the full story. Not even close. They're just taking everything Vanessa says at face value and running with it. And just like that, I've been turned into public enemy number 1. What makes it worse is seeing extended family jump into the mix. My aunt, who I haven't even talked to in years, comments something like, "I always knew Marcus was selfish." Like it's some long-established fact about me. Then my cousins start sharing the post, and suddenly my phone is blowing up with notifications from people telling me I need to step up and do the right thing. At that point, I'm furious. I try to calm myself down, take a step back, think logically, but the more I scroll, the angrier I get. Because no matter how many times I've explained my side to people privately, Vanessa has managed to twist the narrative so badly that I come out looking like the villain. And the worst part? It's working. I'm losing the public side of this completely. So I make a decision. I'm not the kind of person who likes airing personal issues online, but this has gone too far. If she's going to drag my name through the mud on Facebook, then I'm going to set the record straight. So I sit down and write out a long response. I explain everything, how I offered to help them find a place, how I even offered financial help, and how what they really wanted was to live in my house rent-free for almost a year. I make it clear that I'm not refusing to help. I'm refusing an unreasonable request. I also point out how they've been careless with their money and how they've been trying to pressure and guilt me into giving up my space. And I say it plainly. This situation didn't come out of nowhere. It's the result of their own decisions, not mine. Then I hit post. And yeah, things blow up immediately. Comments start pouring in within minutes. Some people actually take my side, saying it's not my responsibility to house an entire family and that I've already done more than enough by offering other help. But plenty of others still side with Vanessa, saying I'm being too harsh, that family should always come first no matter what. The comment section turns into a full-on debate. People arguing back and forth, defending one side or the other. And of course, Vanessa sees my post. And she completely loses it. She starts blowing up my phone. Messages, calls, calling me every name you can think of. Selfish, heartless, arrogant. She says I'm tearing the family apart, and that she can't believe I'd humiliate her like this in front of everyone. Which is honestly ironic, considering she's the one who went public first. I try to stay calm and respond without escalating things. I tell her I didn't have a choice, that after she put me on blast publicly, I had to defend myself. But she's not listening. She's locked into her version of the story, completely convinced she's the victim here. Eventually, she just blocks me on Facebook. Honestly, fine by me. That's one less source of drama to deal with. But just when I think things might finally settle down, my dad calls again. And yeah, here we go. This time, he's not yelling. But somehow that's worse. His voice is calm, low, serious. Disappointed. He tells me he saw everything on Facebook, and that he's upset I took things public. He says I should have handled it privately, and that now the entire family is divided because of it. It's pretty clear he blames me for making everything worse. I try to explain that I was pushed into it, that Vanessa started this by going public first. But it doesn't matter what I say. He's not budging. He keeps going on about how I need to fix this, how family should always come first, and how it's not too late to offer Vanessa and Derek a place to stay. He even says that if I do that, maybe everything can go back to normal. And that's when I finally hit my limit. I tell him, Dad, I'm not doing it. I'm not letting them move in, and I'm done apologizing for it. I make it clear, I didn't do anything wrong. They made their choices, and now they have to deal with the consequences. I'm not their safety net. I say, it's not my job to fix their problems. There's a long pause on the other end. I can tell he's surprised. I don't usually push back like that. But this time, I'm done. I'm not going to let guilt or pressure force me into something I don't want, just to keep everyone else happy. Eventually, he lets out a sigh and says, I hope you know what you're doing, Marcus. And then he hangs up. After that, everything goes quiet. Vanessa still has me blocked. My parents barely talk to me. It feels like the whole family is stuck in this weird, tense silence, like everyone's waiting for someone to make the next move. But here's the thing. I'm not making that move. I've set my piece. I set my boundary. And I'm not backing down. Yeah, it sucks that things turned out this way. I never wanted to end up fighting with my own family. But at the same time, I know I made the right call. I stood my ground, even when it felt like everyone was against me. And sure, maybe things won't ever go back to how they were before. Maybe the family dynamic is permanently changed. But honestly, I'm okay with that. Because at the end of the day, I'm still here, in my own home, living my life on my terms. And for me, that's worth all the drama that came with it.